When your very own children start treating you like a stranger, that grief hits different. It really does. That voice message that you've sent them, maybe over and over again, well, they've read them, they've been delivered, but the response is as if it's crickets. And you've become a ghost to the very people that you gave your whole life to. Now, if you know the ache of those unanswered calls and that radio silence from your own children, this video is definitely for you. I hear you. And if you know the ache of those unanswered calls and that radio silence from your own children, this video is definitely for you. It really is. And Mama, what I'm about to tell you might crack your heart wide open, but it might also set you free. Let me paint a picture that might feel achingly familiar. You remember when they were small, racing to you with scraped knees, believing you were their magic, you were their universe, their safety, you were their answer to everything. You poured your soul into them. Every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every dream that you set aside. You worked yourself to the bone, maybe even neglecting yourself completely. You became smaller, so they became bigger. And somewhere along the line, you forgot you were more than just mum. But now you're remembering, you're asking questions that scare them. You're talking about energy, about healing, about breaking generational patterns, ancestral patterns. And you're discovering spiritual gifts that you never knew that you had. You're finding your voice. You're finding your power. You're finding your purpose. Now, what's even more strange is they've went silent. There's no arguments. And there's definitely no debates, just nothing. Your calls go unanswered, your messages float into the void. And when you do connect, it's surface level, it's chit chat before they suddenly have to go. I need to go, Mum. I've not got time for this. And they built a wall of polite distance that cuts even deeper than any fight ever could. And late at night, when the house is quiet and the doubts creep in, and you whisper those questions that's really destroying you, because I've been there. Did I lose them by finding myself? Or worse, have I lost them forever? Will they ever come back? Am I to blame? Mm-hmm. Because listen to me, beautiful soul, you didn't lose anything. You found everything. You really did. Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Sometimes the people we love the most will choose silence over witnessing our evolution. Not because they don't love us. That's not what's happening here. It's because our awakening shatters a story that they wrote about who we are. The mum who was always available. The mum who never made waves. The mum who existed solely to serve everyone else's needs and never ever asked for anything in return, did everything for them. But when you start honoring your spiritual gifts, they don't argue, they disappear. When you stop being their emotional dumping ground, they don't get angry, go radio silent. And when you begin following your soul's calling, they don't debate it. They simply give you that look and they simply fade away. You know that look they give you? Mum's lost it. And here's what I need you to understand. This isn't your fault. This isn't a failure of love. Because let's be honest, we'll always love them. This is what happens when someone who's been playing small finally decides to play big. That grief that you're feeling, it's not just about them, it's about mourning every version of yourself that you buried to keep everyone else comfortable. It's about decades of believing that your worth was measured by how much of yourself you could sacrifice. The empty nest isn't just empty because they moved out. It's empty because you excavated your own soul to make room for everyone else's needs. But here's the plot twist, lovely. That empty space, that's not a void to be filled with grief. That sacred space is for your rebirth. It really is. So see that sacred truth in your journey. Yeah, really see it. What if I told you that this pain, this distance, this spiritual awakening that's causing problems, what if it's not a mistake? What if it's exactly what your soul signed up for? You weren't just here to be mum. You weren't just here to be wife or single parent or whatever. You were meant to be a pattern breaker. You were meant to be a frequency shifter. You're meant to be one of those light workers, a woman who would love so fiercely that she'd be willing to risk everything, including their approval, and to show them what authentic living looks like. Because your spiritual gifts, they're not emerging despite being a mother. They're emerging because you've loved so deeply that you finally understand what unconditional love really means. And it doesn't mean disappearing. So ask yourself this. What if my spiritual awakening isn't selfish? What if it's the most generous thing I could ever do for my family? Write this down. Or even say it out loud. I'm not breaking apart. I'm fucking breaking open. And I'm not failing at motherhood. I'm evolving it. And you're not doing it to any other person's expectations or attachments. You're doing it for yourself. So here's a practice I want you to do with the same reverence you'd bring to any sacred ceremony. And this is what I've done. I did this, and it's a real powerful practice because I felt that pain, especially traveling, grandchildren, and what have you. Create sacred space. And what I find is light a candle, focus on the flame, burn some sage, put some healing music on, and sit quietly. And call their energy forward one by one. See the version of you that they're still trying to access. Mum the matter, mum the people pleaser, mum who has no life of her own, mum the giver, mum the bottle washer. Place both hands on your heart and speak this truth. And if any emotion comes up, that someone actually does see you, because trust me, I've been there, and it's bloody hard. It's very hard, that empty nest. And say to yourself, I release this version of me with love and gratitude. And breathe in. And she served you beautifully. But I'm more than she could ever be. I'm not abandoning you. I'm showing you what it looks like to honor the fullness of who we are. I visualize that old version, just not disappearing, but integrating into the powerful, awakened woman that you're becoming. And this isn't about cutting cords. This is about upgrading them from that fear-based attachment to soul-based love. And I've been through this very thing. And you feel such sadness and the tears, you just can't stop the tears, this deep ache within us. And what I actually did was, because I knew I just couldn't keep going on like this. And what I did was, I actually, in my meditation, I called in each of my sons. And I actually went to their door. I was driving my Range Rover, and I was actually going to their door, going into their house and giving them the biggest hug and telling them how much I loved them. And I'd always be their mum. And I'd always be there for them. Always. Regardless of what they think or thought. But I'd always be there. And I'd give them the biggest hug of pure love. And then I went to my next son, and when I got to, and did exactly the same thing, and held them in their faces. My grandkid as well, held biggest hug. And I'd seen myself driving away to the airport, getting on a flight because I'm a digital nomad, I'm traveling the world, and actually feeling free. Free from the guilt, free from the shame, free from the sadness, free from the what if. And it was as if everything now, it's as if it fell off me. But the thing is, you'll still have that ache, but it's clearer. And I used also 4 holograms. I went into the spiritual, physical, mind, and emotional bodies. And I just made sure that there wasn't any residue energy. What we teach in the Oracle Code. There was no residue energy there, that I could walk my path to find who I was. Because I didn't know. I'd had children since I was 18 years old. I was married till I was 17. So, and I always had massive responsibility. Always. So I didn't, and still don't, I'm learning though, who I was. Who is Anne Varney? So ask yourself that. Who is, and say your name. Because when you stop being everyone else's everything, there's a void opens up. And that void is screaming with possibility. And this is your spiritual mission, your activation. It really is, Mum. Yeah? And start each day. Get more excitement in your life, more passion. And start your day with, what is my soul here to create today? And follow your spiritual gifts relentlessly. That healing, that intuition, that energy work, whatever is flowing through you. Create something that's purely yours, whether there's art, business, movement, beauty, healing, whatever it is. Find your tribe. People who see and celebrate your evolution. Share your gifts with the world. Whether your family fucking understands it or not. Because here's what they don't tell you. When you step into your spiritual power, you become a lighthouse. Now, some people will be drawn to that light, and others, they'll turn away because it's too bright for their comfort. But lighthouses don't dim themselves, especially for ships that prefer to sail in darkness. And it's one thing I've learned is that. And what you're birthing now, it isn't another child. It's the most authentic, spiritually powerful self. And she deserves the same fierce protection, the same endless devotion, the same unconditional love you gave your babies. It really is. If your soul's on fire right now, if you're thinking, holy shit, yes, this is exactly what I needed to hear, I want you to know something that might change everything. Your spiritual awakening is not a betrayal to your family. It's the fucking greatest gift that you could ever give them. It really is. Let it sink in. Because when you show up as your authentic, spiritually empowered self, you're giving them permission to do the same. You're leading by example. You show them that love doesn't require performance because that worth doesn't require sacrifice. That being human means being gloriously and unapologetically whole. And it might take time because mine certainly did. That's for sure. I've been traveling for 2 years and I'm just coming out the end of it. Because they might need to grieve the version of you they're losing. But real love, real soul love, it's not threatened by growth. It celebrates it. It evolves with it and it rises to meet it. It really does. And if they can't, if they choose distance over depth, silence over seeing you, that's not your failure. Certainly not your failure, Mama. That's their fear. And you're not responsible for healing everyone else's fear at the expense of your own soul. And I want to hear from you. In the comments, tell me what spiritual gift is ready to emerge through you. What truth is your soul dying to speak? Because let's create a circle of awakened mothers who fucking refuse to dim their light for anyone. And if you're ready, really ready, to step fully into your spiritual power, to claim your gifts, to build a life that honors both your love for your family and your love for your own soul, I invite you to come over to the Spiritual Awakening Academy, because inside we work with hologram healing, sacred boundary setting, spiritual mission activation. We do a lot of business things going on there, a lot of spiritual. And it's not to cut people off, but it's to love them so authentically that only real love remains. You'll get the link in the comments. Because remember this, guys. You're not just a mother. You're a spiritual being. You're a spiritual warrior. You're an awakened soul. And you are a pattern breaker and frequency shifting, life bringing force of nature. Because your spiritual gifts are certainly not selfish. They're sacred. Your awakening is not a mistake. It's your mission. Your evolution is not a betrayal. It's the bravest act of love you'll ever perform. So stop shrinking, beautiful. Stop hiding. Stop apologizing for the light that's pouring through you. The world's waiting for what you came here to give. And no one, not even the children you die for, has the right to ask you to betray your own soul. You get to love them, but you also get to love yourself. And you get to honor your role as a mother, because by God, it's a bloody hard role. And you get to honor your identity as a sovereign, spiritually empowered woman. So your awakening is not the end of love. It is love. And it's that love that will finally set you free. So rise up. The world needs your light, Mama. And if this video spoke to you, please subscribe. Because it's a painful one. It is a painful one. And I'm wrapping my arms around you to give you the biggest hug for the hardest job in the world. We love you.